All right, let's do this. Hello, welcome back. Hey Kev, how are you? My new setup is working pretty great, and honestly, it's as cheap as it gets. That was like $500 for the Mac, and well, I had the capture card already, but it's like $400, so it's $100 total. So not bad for a machine that can run OBS and not lose too many frames. Oh, that's a cat over here. Hey, Gitty. Danger. All right, we're good. I'm well, hope you're too. Yeah, I'm fine. I had this idea to do this today, and it's been my all day, so that kept me motivated. How do you handle needing 2 mice? I'm so used to this. I had 3 at some point. because whenever I work from home, I have one mouse and keyboard for work and another for my Spotify, so I can listen to Spotify. You get the idea. And at some point I had three, because one of the past companies we worked for a client, so I had one machine from my company, another machine from my client, and the third one, my home one with my Spotify. So I don't know, I just got used to it. They're here. What do you mean? Have you seen the setup last time? I don't remember, or were you gone by that time? I got Whimsy, that's going to be the big adjustment for me. I know, I don't have problems with those things. But you know, then you hear about people who play in VR and bump into things. I hardly ever do that. I am very conscious about my surroundings. I don't mean that I never do that. Or sometimes I'm not sure how far something is and I hit it. And just every so often I actually forget that something was there or which direction I'm facing. But most of the time I can play the VR game and still keep myself oriented in my surroundings and know which way I'm facing most of the time. It's of course easier when you sit at the sofa, you have something physical to touch and connect to. You get the idea. So yeah, that's it. That's how it works for me. Easy peasy. Well, the only thing, I still want to fly with iPad and ForFlight on it, so that is going to be a little challenge. Also, is the music loudness okay? I'll make it just a bit quieter. So that should be fine now. I try to look at my volume levels on the OBS, so that's telling me the whole story. I prefer to trust those meters than my ears. And besides, I don't hear my microphone anyway, so that wouldn't help. Balance is good to me, yay. But honestly, running OBS, and it's the OBS when it's capturing and rendering the scene, that takes basically zero resources. What takes resources is is encoding as soon as you start going live. So for example, when you're recording the video locally, it takes hardly any resources. But as soon as you go live on Twitch, it hits so hard for some reason. Or maybe it's just a problem that when the game is running and it's running the encoder, maybe there's some shared resource on the graphic card and that's creating the problem. So offloading that to second machine has helped tremendously. It helped a lot. I am honestly surprised it makes that much of a difference. I really am. Plus it's cool because I don't have to alt-tab from the game now. At least not so much. I was a little adventurous today. I wanted to use my Bluetooth headset, and when it works fine during the day when I'm just listening to music, like it doesn't have latency or anything, it wasn't having a great time right now. Also, in my monitors, there is a massive spider web of cables, or maybe it looks more like a Viper pit. It's just crazy. Sometimes I'm surprised it still works. Like there's so much stuff on top of each other. And yeah, cable management is not my passion, so I just smack it all there. Make sure it doesn't crawl on the table. It's honestly scary the way it looks now. I'll need to figure it out at some point. Still getting a little familiar with the Mac. I still didn't figure out how to install those open source OBS plugins to have the round corners of camera, so we have the sharp corners. Don't cut yourself. Oh, and I arranged my room a little again. So I'm still on the small setup today, but the big setup is way more user-friendly now than it was. Also, there seems to be a little more space in the room. Hugh, how are you doing, Kev? Nice to see you. Always great to have you here. Alright, Actually, we have started, so we don't need the starting soon anymore. Look, I also have be right back and stream ending. Oh, why is it? What? What? It should be here in the middle. Oh no. I aligned the others precisely. It's not ending. Hey, already. We're just starting. We're just starting. We're just starting. I'm just showcasing the text thingies. Great to be here. Yo, everyone's doing alright. Jeez, this. Also, I have the muted redemption now. Shall I maybe switch it with some other cheaper ones? Yeah, I think I'll switch it with danger, so you see it in the first row.
I can't hear you.
That's really funny. I like that. Yeah, I need to rearrange this alerts a little later. Actually, let's do it right now. Where's the bloody blurb? Blurb. Let's make it smaller. I really like keeping things back in the middle. And sometimes I'm very unhappy when they're even a half pixel off. So, but I'll need to go through them later on.
Hello there.
That's better. So I had to reconnect my cable headset today because the Bluetooth one was not having a good time. Yay, streaming so cool. We need to do this more. But honestly, most of the time I just end work and I'm so tired. So I, just sit, don't really do anything exhausting. And work has been pretty smooth recently. So I don't know. But it's cool. I had this in my all day today. Just got back home from flying. This guy, nice. It was rough as crap until passing 3500. Oh, I see. The friction layer. Did they have those roll clouds? They're interesting. And yeah, it's this time of the year for the roll clouds. I think you know what I mean. They look like a small cumulus, but they just swirl. And you can imagine there's this friction layer, so the air on top moves pretty smoothly, and there's like, you can imagine like things rolling. You get the idea. It would be easier if I drew it. I need to get some drawing stuff later on. Alright, but I keep grabbing the wrong mouse now. Keep struggling with steep turns from the right seat. I keep struggling with steep turns from any seat. Let's see if the apps work fine here. Hang on. How they do? They absolutely do. Yay! Cool, so we can see that. Steep turns are difficult. Also, how do you do steep turns? Because I have seen different schools. So JPC was teaching Boozy. Oh, that's a little too. Oh, I know why. I'll need to restart the bloody game. So the way I have been doing this on my exams and practice is they first ask me to do 45 degrees steep turn, and then they ask me to do a series of 60 degree steep turns. And 45 is easy peasy. The 60 degree, that's where I really struggle. And what I saw JPC teaching Boozy is just to keep it somewhere between 45 and 60. So that is also manageable if you keep it somewhere in the middle here. So I'm not sure. So Instructor keeps telling me I need to keep talking through my maneuvers. I get to consider stop teaching. Oh yeah, 7 days away from the check ride. Yeah, no worries. You can do it. You can always postpone it, or it's pretty. I don't like the fact that if you pass the check ride, it stays on your record. Hey, there's the gadget. Welcome. Gadget, I've got the might also compute for my OBS now. It's so good. Do I show you? Do you want to see? There's so many of you now. So I you might want to show you. It's honestly a little funny. But do we do this another day? Hang on, let me try to do this again. So jealous of our pilots like me in top territory. You can do it. There's always the sport pilot license, whatever you call it, in the US. I think that's a good option because you get the flying, you get less training, it takes less time, but you still do the flying. And if you're not aiming to work in the airlines, it's really not a problem. All right, I keep touching the wrong mouse. So there's that. But don't worry. I can show you the stuff. Do you want to see the stuff? Let's do it. Let's freaking do it. Do it live. All right. So that's my 2 mice and 2 keyboards. That's the game screen. And there's the obvious screen. Yeah, I also have my... Oh, it died. I have it died. There's my previous screen and my other screen. Yeah, there's the 2 keyboards and 2 mice. And the microphone. No, hang on. No, I need to do the interesting thing. Hang on. No, I just disconnected, but it keeps... I see. So whenever I go to the other screen, it doesn't connect. All right. All right, I got the thingy up. So hang on, I'll hide my other camera just for a moment. So there behind is the absolute Viper pit. Can you see that mess? Can you see that mess? It's terrible. And there's the thingy. Here. This is where the obvious runs. It's so good. But this cable management? Yeah. It's great. Alright. So you get the idea. That's about it. Let me restore normal operations. Those cables without labels, toot. That would do my head in. Huh. See, that's my superpower. I just can't remember this stuff. Like, I roughly remember how things were connected, and then I just narrow down on it when I get to it. You can, of course, always pull the cable, so that's not a big deal. All right, the thing is, I had my track IR connected earlier with the other headset, and it somehow keeps dank on me after like a minute or 2 in the game. I have nice little 3D printed labels. Yeah, but then how do I label them? I don't know. I'm not that organized. And the problem is, I don't know how to reset that position now. Hang on, maybe there is a way. So before I give up, let's try to do this. Maybe it will work from here. No, it worked. It worked. All right, so you don't have to restart game. Cool. Nice 3D labels sound cool, but I know I have so many cables. I don't even know how I would label them. So I just try to remember it the hard way. Works for me, okay? And I see where you're coming from. All right, let's do this. So I'll show you. So the thing we're doing today, it's called INTERCEPTOR with an R. Also, Gadget, so nice seeing you flying this GA today. The Baron is amazing and I love this stuff. So this is what we will be doing today. I don't remember where we ended last time. There's that. Does anyone remember? I think we did VR 1 and 2. The important thing, they put it in the description. I'm not sure how important that is, but they say it's important, so I did that. Is to disable Navigraph. So you go to my library here, and then you search Navigraph, and then you disable it. Also, I need to remember to enable it after I'm done with that. So those two are disabled. That should resolve any conflicts we have with that stuff. So go to activities. We go to custom content. And it's down there. FS Academy Interceptor. We did introduction, turn control, altitude control, advanced handling. We did VR1. So they taught us how the CDA bar works, OBS from flag. And then I'm pretty sure we did OBS IFR VR2. It had this 45-degree intercept angle. So I'm pretty sure we did that. Does it show in any way which we have done already? Not really. Maybe that's because I'm on beta. Maybe it's not tracking my progress. That is quite possible. Let's just jump in this VR2 and see if I remember that. But I'm pretty sure we did that. And then we'll exit that and start from the next lesson. So check if the things work. There's 2 more gotchas. Need to go to the settings here, go to the sound and get character voices on. I usually have them
course and fly to the VOR. Maintain heading and altitude for now.
And also accessibility and subtitles. I usually get those things off because the random 8s keep going on and on.
The OBS system fitted here, we will use simple 45-degree intercept angles as an introduction. Once we move on to modern avionics, we will use a more sophisticated method, but 45 degrees will be sufficient for now. The VOR is tuned and identified. We're going to fly a course of 270 towards.
Alright, we did this lesson. I do remember it.
And set a course of 270 at the top.
So let's go back and do the next lesson.
Keep the altitude.
Good stuff. Don't like that I need to keep scrolling and finding the next lesson all the time. So we'll be doing NDB navigation today. There's a lot of the lessons left. So there's a total of 30. Yikes. That's gonna take a moment. And we've only done 6. And the first one's pretty short, so let's go the NDB navigation. I'll get the music maybe a little quieter. So it doesn't run over the guy. Alright, so this is RBI, radio bearing indicator. There's also a similar instrument called RMI, but I think the difference is that this one doesn't have movable compass card. You just need to dial in yourself. I think music is nicer with this. Alright. So I'll make it where it was. Superimpose and the needle onto heading indicator, and that's... Oh yeah, we need to think like these 2 separate instruments, but we need to imagine this needle is just over this one. But it's as cheap as it gets. Alright, let's roll.
The non-directional beacon, or NDB, is the simplest form of radio navigation that you are likely to come across. In this aircraft, we use the relative bearing indicator, RBI, to navigate with an NDB, utilising the yellow pointer at its centre. When our automatic direction finder, ADF, is tuned to an NDB station, the arrow on our RBI will point directly to the beacon. Using the ADF radio panel, located directly below the RBI, tune in the Jersey NDB, frequency 329.
Alright, this is not easy at all. Let's just double check the audio once more. It is a little quiet there. Oh, it should be better now. So now it might be super loud. I'll report back when they add plane sounds into the mix. Yeah, they should be better now. Just dial them down here. We've got too many sliders now. Oh, and there's the ad. Great timing, great timing. So I'll wait the ad over. I think that works. We'll wait till the ad's finished. No worries. No worries. So the reason why I've got so many things now is because there's second OBS that's doing the thing. And basically using my... Hang on. So this OBS, I'm just using the projector to beam to Camlink, which is the capture card. So that's one thing. And then in here, I have my voice meter, and voice meter is getting the audio from Misfits here on aux. And we put that to A5, and A5 as have, well, where the HDMI goes. I need to just break out my wallet and subscribe to my man bag. This guy. So that's how it's bundled together. And what I had, so usually my Misfits, I have this quieter, like -12, and I forgot to put it back. So that is the reason why it was so quiet. And oh, it's back. Cool. I was just showing the setup real quick, and the track error which died on me anyway. Anyway, this can go down. Right, it should be super loud now. Oh, that's hella loud. All right, 3 to 9.
The needle on our RBI has rotated and is showing the NDB to be to our left. Maintain our heading straight ahead and observe how the needle behaves. We will treat the NDB as identified.
Hang on, I'll pause this. Except I said Chief should get no surprise to anyone. I mean, it's fine.
So now, with the head of the needle deflected to the left of centre, the deflection increases further left. Keeping our nose to the right of the head has pushed the needle left. This is known as pushing the head and is a fundamental concept for navigating with needles. The head of the needle will always push away from your heading.
Alright, this engine is way too loud, so let's fix this. I came unprepared. Oh, this will fix it.
Make a left turn now so that the NDB needle is pointing straight up, meaning that the NDB is directly ahead.
Alright.
Please maintain 4,000 feet throughout this exercise.
That's not true. Seems great. I dug Joe for a while, then again through monster tips. Nice. Right, let's restart the lesson. I think fiddling with the audio is completed. I forgot I would need to adjust that.
The non-directional beacon, or NDB, is the simplest form of radio navigation that you are likely to come across. In this aircraft, we use the relative bearing indicator, RBI, to navigate with an NDB, utilising the yellow pointer at its centre. When our automatic direction finder, ADF, is tuned to an NDB station, the arrow on our RBI will point directly to the beacon. Using the ADF radio panel, located directly below the RBI, tune in the Jersey NDB, frequency 329.
Alright, 3 to 9. Let's
the
go.
The needle on our RBI has rotated and is showing the NDB to be to our left. Maintain our heading straight ahead and observe how the needle behaves. We will treat the NDB as identified. See how, with the head of the needle deflected to the left of centre, the deflection increases further left. Keeping our nose to the right of the head has pushed
What's
the
that?
needle left.
Thank you for the follow.
This is known as pushing the head and is a fundamental concept for navigating with needles. The head of the needle will always push away
Baines.
from your heading. Make a left turn now so that the NDB needle is pointing straight up, meaning that the NDB is directly ahead. Please maintain 4,000 feet throughout this exercise.
Hello. Hey Baines. A51. Firefly, thank you for the follow. So this is more challenging than it looks like. So we are doing the lesson number 7, the NDB. We've tuned the NDB and it's now showing where the station is. But the instrument is here and whatever I'm using for flying is here. And yeah, it is a challenge. Still at work, no worries, Baines.
Please maintain 4,000 feet throughout this exercise. Remember that radials are bearings from a beacon, so if we want to follow a radial towards a beacon, we fly the reciprocal course. To fly the radial 090 inbound to the NDB, we fly the reciprocal course of 270. We have turned left onto approximately 270 with the ADF needle centred. This puts us on the radial 090 inbound to the NDB. Disregard the bearing card that encircles the RBI. Mentally superimpose the RBI needle onto your heading indicator. Modern avionics will do this for us, but here we must use our imagination. Use the push the head method to keep us flying inbound to the NDB on the course 270. It can be useful to double the difference. For example, if the ADF needle deviates left by 5 degrees, turn left 10 degrees to begin pushing the head of the needle back towards the desired course. As the NDB needle has started to drift, turn towards and beyond the direction it is pointing to push the head back towards our desired course 270.
I'll pause it here and explain. The learning never stops. I mean, I know all of this, but I think it's good to go through the basics again. Why not? Maybe I'll learn some tips that I have forgotten or never knew. Hey, Baines. Oh, it's paused now. So, what he was trying to say, that the needle is like always going out from you. It's like, it's not helping you, at least when you're flying towards the station. So when my nose is here and the station is here, the station will keep getting away from me. So I need to put my head on the other side and I just push the needle. So the needle is always going away from me. Now what he was trying to say, that I need to think that the needle is on top of this instrument, so that now the needle would be showing like 260, and we are flying 260 inbound, which means we are on the radial 080, so we're following radial 080 inbound. I think the easiest way to remember is that the radial is always from, and the from is always the tail of the needle. And the same mostly works for the VOR. And this terminology with the radials is absolutely atrocious and super confusing. Old school way of flying. Yeah, but you need to be sharp with it. Like, if you happen to have a bad day and everything fails, you need to go back to this. And the worst case scenario is you are using classic radio navigation. You have your engine you're in a twin, one engine is failed and you cannot use the autopilot, and you're in a soup and you have the paper charts, and no GPS because there's jamming. I mean, sure, the odds are low, but the scenario is totally imaginable in this time and age. So I think you just need to be sharp. Whenever the day comes, you need to be able to pay your pay. All right, let's unpause it. We need to stay at 4,000. What I'm doing, what we've learned from previous lesson, I need my orange dot between 0 and 5 degrees, so roughly 2.5 degree up. That should keep me level, keep the altitude 4,000 feet, and glimpse at my heading every now and then. The airspeed should mostly stay okay as long as we have the correct power setting. Is the engine too loud? Or is it fine? It's bearable. Now, it's really problematic that this needle here is so far from the other thing. And this card, I can just rotate it freely. It's not doing anything. So you can rotate it, but you would need to sync it with your magnetic heading, which is just way too much work. So I think it's fine to just keep it like that. All right, and we need to fly the radial 090 inbound. Oh geez, that's really difficult with this not being magnetic driven. Baines, you and he are the best two Joes I know. Oh, I see. Two Joes. Alright, unpost, let's roll. So, let's take it slow, I'll just see what's happening. So let's keep my heading at 090 and let's see where the needle is. So it's 10 degrees to the left, so I need 20 degrees to the left correction. So let's keep it that way. Now the needle is a little to the right. The parallax effect is also not helping. Right, it should be good now. And remember, my primary reference is my attitude indicator, so that's where I should be looking most of the time. Everything else... Alright, the needle is still to the left, I think. Yeah. So let's correct that. So I'll go 20 degrees to the left. So we are now 250. So whatever I see there, so the needle is 5 right from me. So the needle is 260. Lost my heading in the process. There seems to be some turbulence. So I want the needle to show 15 degree right.
As the NDB needle has started to drift, turn towards and beyond the direction it is pointing to push the head back towards our desired course 270. As we near the station, the needle will become increasingly sensitive. Try to make early and small corrections to keep our superimposed NDB needle pointed to 270 on our heading indicator.
This is difficult. So I'm not sure what he meant with double correction, but I think he meant if the needle is 20 degrees to the left, then I need to be... if the needle is 10 degrees to the left, then I need to be 20 degrees to the left in reference to original heading.
The needle is now moving much more quickly, so we are nearing the NDB. Don't chase the needle from here, simply fly heading 270. An NDB does not have a cone of confusion. Passing overhead the beacon will be evidenced by the needle swinging quickly, then pointing behind you.
Right, I need to relax. So see, the needle is now moving pretty fast. There's no need to chase it, because we're just so close to the station.
Now that we are outbound from the NDB, the needle points behind us. As opposed to pushing the head of the needle, our nose will now pull the tail of the needle towards it. Push the head, pull the tail. Make a left turn to heading 215 and see how the tail of the needle is pulled around towards our heading.
Alright, I think pulling the tail is fairly easy to remember. But my cat doesn't like that. Don't pull your cat's
now
tail.
Maintain heading 215 and watch as the tail of the needle is pulled towards our heading. See how the tail of the ADF needle is pulled towards our heading. Push the head, pull the tail. This is how we fly a radial from an NDB, by turning to pull the tail onto the desired outbound radial. Again, we mentally superimpose the NDB needle onto our heading indicator. Let's say that we want to intercept the radial 180 from the NDB. We fly a simple 45-degree intercept angle. Superimposing the NDB needle onto our heading, we see that the tail of the needle is to the right of 180. We will therefore fly an intercept heading to the left of 180 to pull the tail towards our desired radial 180. 45 degrees left of radial 180 is 135. Turn left now to heading 135.
And remember that we do 15-degree bank. That should give us right 1 turn. So 15-degree bank gives us right 1 over... right 1 over here. Hang on.
See how this heading indicator has markers at each 45-degree interval. This makes it easy to set and hold a 45-degree intercept heading. Superimpose the NDB needle onto your heading indicator and watch as the tail of the needle is pulled towards 180. Once the tail is around 5 degrees from our target radial, we will turn right onto heading 180.
Mm-hmm. 5 degrees of 180, so 180 is over here at the 45. Ah, right, we're doing 45 intercept. So that's now. Pentagon the first. Will he say that? Right, let me try to do that. So I'm worried that he didn't say we should turn. Do what? Yeah. I didn't tell anyone. You can still get the second and first. Kev was here the first, spiritually. Right, I think because I blew past this heading there, I think we're not gonna trigger this condition now. So I'll probably need to restart the lesson. My bad for not claiming it. Yeah, there you go. One day you will learn. No worries, we've all been there. So the only thing is, if I don't follow the instructions precisely, I get myself to not triggering these conditions, and well, I need to restore the lesson. So let's restore the lesson. That's the only complaint, but at least I know how to work around that, and well, it's kind of my bad for not following it. I honestly just blew past this heading. So let's do this again.
The non-directional beacon, or NDB, is the simplest form of radio navigation that you are likely to come across. In this aircraft, we use the relative bearing indicator, RBI, to navigate with an NDB, utilising the yellow pointer at its centre. When our automatic direction finder, ADF, is tuned to an NDB station, the arrow on our RBI will point directly to the beacon. Using the ADF radio panel, located directly below the RBI, tune in the Jersey NDB, frequency 329. Please maintain 4,000 feet throughout this exercise. The needle on our RBI has rotated and is showing the NDB to be to our left. Maintain our heading straight ahead and observe how the needle behaves. We will treat the NDB as identified. Please maintain 4,000 feet throughout this exercise. See how, with the head of the needle deflected to the left of centre, the deflection increases further left. Keeping our nose to the right of the head has pushed the needle left. This is known as pushing the head and is a fundamental concept for navigating with needles. The head of the needle will always push away from your heading. Make a left turn now so that the NDB needle is pointing straight up, meaning that the NDB is directly ahead.
Right, 15-degree bank. Center that needle. I think I'll just focus on flying and not comment what's going on. I think the instructor is expressive enough.
Remember that radials are bearings from a beacon, so if we want to follow a radial towards a beacon, we fly the reciprocal course. To fly the radial 090 inbound to the NDB, we fly the reciprocal course of 270. We have turned left onto approximately 270 with the ADF needle centred. This puts us on the radial 090 inbound to the NDB. Disregard the bearing card that encircles the RBI. Mentally superimpose the RBI needle onto your heading indicator. Modern avionics will do this for us, but here we must use our imagination. Use the push the head method to keep us flying inbound to the NDB on the course 270. It can be useful to double the difference. For example, if the ADF needle deviates left by 5 degrees, turn left 10 degrees to begin pushing the head of the needle back towards the desired course.
Alright, so I want the needle to be pointing 20 degree right from my nose now. So my nose is 250, 20 degree right is 270, so I want the needle to be 20 degree right and it's only 5 degree. So we'll keep waiting until it gets there. So it would be nice if I could keep the heading. Maybe stepping on the rudder too much?
As
No.
the NDB needle has started to drift, turn towards and beyond the direction it is pointing to push the head back towards our desired course 270.
It's 10 degree now. It's 15 degree-ish. The parallax effect there is not helping. At least I'm doing better than the previous time, keeping everything on target for the longer periods than previously, so I'm happy with that. Come on, needle, 5 more degrees, you can do it. Come on, needle. Alright, it will be about it, so let's go back on course. Yeah, it seems to be perfectly fine. We are
As we
270.
near the station, the needle will become increasingly sensitive. Try to make early and small corrections to keep our superimposed NDB needle pointed to 270 on our heading indicator.
Alright, that is not easy whatsoever.
You will see that the needle is now moving much more quickly, so we are nearing the NDB. Don't chase the needle from here, simply fly heading 270. An NDB does not have a cone of confusion. Passing overhead the beacon will be evidenced by the needle swinging quickly, then pointing behind you.
I didn't look at the instruments for a split second and it went out of target already.
Now that we are outbound from the NDB, the needle points behind us. As opposed to pushing the head of the needle, our nose will now pull the tail of the needle towards it. Push the head, pull the tail. Make a left turn to heading 215 and see how the tail of the needle is pulled around towards our heading.
Left 215.
Now maintain heading 215 and watch as the tail of the needle is pulled
111.
towards our heading. See how the tail of the ADF needle is pulled towards our heading. Push the head, pull the tail.
So it's much easier
This
to
is how
fly
we fly a
outbound.
radial from an NDB, by turning to pull the tail onto the desired outbound radial. Again, we mentally superimpose the NDB needle onto our heading indicator. Let's say that we want to intercept the radial 180 from the NDB. We fly a simple 45-degree intercept angle. Superimposing the NDB needle onto our heading, we see that the tail of the needle is to the right of 180. We will therefore fly an intercept heading to the left of 180 to pull the tail towards our desired radial 180. 45 degrees left of radial 180 is 135. Turn left now to heading 135.
Left 135. Super happy with the WiseBot announcements every hour. That works pretty well. Right, left 135. Let's try not to bust it this time. And we roll out 10 degree early. I think that was the tip from the previous lesson. Oh,
See how this heading indicator has markers
Maybe
at
5
each
degree early.
45-degree interval. This makes it easy to set and hold a 45-degree intercept heading. Superimpose the NDB needle onto your heading indicator and watch as the tail of the needle is pulled towards 180. Once the tail is around 5 degrees from our target radial, we will turn right onto heading 180.
honestly, just following this instruction is difficult enough. Trying to understand the lesson at the same time. Yikes. So, if you're doing this yourself, feel free to pause and think about what the instructor said and whenever you want to understand it. So the tail of the needle will be moving up, and once it's 5 degree off, we will start turning. So let's wait until he says something. I would say it's 5 degrees now, but maybe I don't have the precise indication there. And we are 135, 120, 130, 135. There's the ad again.
Looking at the tail of the needle, it looks like we are about 5 degrees from our target radial 180. Turn right onto heading 180.
Alright, so it is the parallax effects that was fooling me.
We are now tracking the NDB radial 180 outbound and can pull the tail as needed to maintain this radial. These are the basics of navigating with NDBs. We see how the ADF needle simply points towards the NDB, making navigation to a station straightforward. However, there are some important limitations to be aware of. Firstly, NDBs typically have short ranges of 20 nautical miles or so. Long-range stations do exist, but are rare. Also, radio interference, thunderstorm activity, coastal refraction, and a range of other issues can distort the NDB transmission and reception, causing the ADF to give misleading and inaccurate guidance. The key concept to take away from
There
this
we go,
lesson
that is
is push
over.
the head, pull the tail. This will live on throughout your flying career and remains relevant even with modern avionics, as we are to experience firsthand later on. Nicely done, with only 1 or 2 minor errors.
Alright, so I simply had to wait longer. The thing was, I think there was parallax effect, and that triggered me to think we've passed that 5 degree, but it wasn't nearly there. Phew, passed. Next one. It only took us an hour. So I think remaining, what do I know? 30 minus 7, 23 lessons will only take us 23 hours. Or maybe it will be a little better than that. I hope I enjoyed that. That was a little nerve-wracking. Also, my back hurts. Maybe I'll get the pillow off from behind my back. Let's see if that's a better position. I'll adjust the camera. Oh, the other way. The other way. There we go. Alright, I think that works as far as the camera is concerned. Navigation exercise. Let's go. My back is not heavy. I'll get a sip. I've got watermelon today. Intercept radar to VR, intercept radar from VR, navigate to NDB. So basically a recap of what we have done so far. These lessons will take forever, but it's cool. I liked. Maybe I get the back pillow. Don't know. Finding a comfortable position when streaming is different from comfortable position during the day. Also, I'll look different ways and my hands go different way. All right, let's do this. You ready? Let's go. We need this camera like in the camera mode. Change my mind. I'm getting the pillow back there again. And I'll just think that works a little better.
Hopefully you are by now experiencing firsthand how flying on instruments alone can be broken down to a series of simple techniques. Now we combine the topics covered so far in an en route navigation exercise involving attitude flying plus VOR and NDB navigation. Firstly, tune and identify the Jersey VOR into the NAV1 radio, frequency 112.2. Jersey VOR identified. You can turn off the NAV1 ident now. Now, using the OBS, set and intercept the radial 360 to the VOR. We're flying a radial towards a beacon, so remember what this means for the course we need to set. Remember that we are flying a radial to the station, so we use the reciprocal. In this case, that would be a course 180.
Oh,
Good. We are flying a radial to the beacon, so we set the reciprocal, course 180.
that was close.
We can see that with our OBS set, the CDI bar is off to the right. Now turn to a suitable 45-degree intercept heading for a course 180.
So we need to...
We're looking for a left turn to heading
210.
225, a 45-degree intercept for radial 180. The CDI was off to the right with our course set, so we chose an intercept heading to the right of our OBS course. Now complete the interception and fly us to the VOR.
Okay. Wait. Right, it's not going too bad.
Now follow the course 180 to the VOR and climb to 3,500 feet with the standard pitch and power settings.
Thousand to go. Almost on the CDA. Alright, CDA is in center-ish. So let's continue heading 180 to the big S. Climb pitch is 7.5 degree, so between 10 and the line. $500 to go. At least we have the chills. It's really taxing on your brain. I know it looks easy, but if you try this yourself, I guarantee it's quite demanding. Especially with this cockpit that's absolutely bourbon. It's as bare as it gets. So I really like that he's teaching you the right stuff from the get-go. Like looking at that tilt indicator most of the time. That practice is paying off now. 100 to go. So he set to level of 50 feet early.
Now maintain
10% off.
3,500 feet to the VOR. Continue on the course 180 to the VOR. We'll leave on the radial 200.
So you level of 10% of your vertical speed before target. So our climb speed was 500, so we leveled off 50 early. And also the heading rollout 10 degree early. Smoothly. If you do that smoothly, it should bring you right on target. Right, it has accelerated now, so can reduce power a little. I think around here. Let's keep this power over here. Right, I need to correct slightly to the left. And we are on altitude. Everyone's fallen asleep. That's how I like it. The smooth voice, the chills, the flying, the nothingness outside the window. Just this. Right. Once in chat if you're asleep. Wait, that's not gonna work. Or is it? It's still the 2 station. So we're doing good. The power is looking okay. Stream it just 1 notch up. Alright. I believe on the commercial license the target for altitude will be plus minus 100 feet. That scared me. Auditory. These. That honestly scared me. No one has used mid blurbs for quite a while, so that got me. Timely. Well done. Unfamiliar noise in cockpit. Yeah, very unfamiliar.
We're getting close to the VOR now. When you enter the cone of confusion, turn right to heading 200.
I am cone of confusion. Is it 200? My middle name is Cone of Confusion. This would be a great Halloween cosplay. Just get this color that cats have and put on it Cone of Confusion. And no one will ever get that. Let's keep my heading. Power seems okay. Right, CDI is just going out at unreasonable pace, meaning we're very close. So let it run. Let it run wild. That's what it wants. Let it be free. There is the Cone of Confusion. So we're leaving at radial 200, so we can turn straight away to the correct radial because we are over the VOR. So that will bring us more or less on that desired radial. You're welcome to flying with
We're now aiming
me.
to follow the radial 200 from the VOR. Set the OBS to course 200.
Abrupt heading changes.
Great. Now let's see if we've intercepted the radial 200.
Yeah, pretty
We're
much.
right on course. Continue along the radial 200 at 3,500 feet.
Roger. That's why all of this heading and altitude bugs come in handy. At some point I started forgetting what I was doing. Oh, and we are not finding any wind corrections here. Okay, let's go. I'm really happy we have this dual machine setup is working. It's so smooth. Oh, the altitude. So 100 feet is like a 10-story building. I remain jealous. Yeah. But it's honestly as cheap as it gets to having a second machine that does the job, so I'm very happy about how cost effective it is. And now I can run the Spotify on the smaller machine, so I don't have this loud fan under my desk all day. This is a patience exercise. My back. My scan has dramatically improved from before the last lesson. I mean, from before the last stream we were doing that.
Now we'll look at NDBs.
Oh.
Tune Jersey NDB, frequency 329. You can assume the NDB has been identified.
Three, look back there. Two, go back there.
Now
Nine.
start a descent to 3,000 feet, again with standard pitch and power.
Whatever the power was. There we go. Jeffrey B, welcome. Nice to see you.
Also start a right turn to heading 270.
Or 200 to go. $100 to go.
Level off at 3,000 feet and keep us turning to heading 270.
Great. Abrupt heading changes. Abrupt level offs. Welcome to Flying with X. Right, 270, 3,000 feet.
Now turn and fly us directly to the Jersey NDB, maintaining 3,000 feet to complete the exercise.
Right, it's not the worst task. Whoa, 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 whoa. It's climb rate. It's descent rate, I mean. Right, need to correct slide to the left. It didn't specify any particular radial to fly in or bearing, so I guess it's free for all. I wonder how far that NDB is. Right, we need to correct 5 degrees in the left. Five more, so 3 to 0. Let's try keep 320 inbound. So that's radial 140 inbound. So I think they want us to get us overhead the NDB and then end the lesson. I have a feeling that's what's going to happen. Right, at least my scan is way better than it used to be. So I am very happy about that. But this RM... Wait, what do they call it? Not RMI. RBI. Oof, terrible. So RBI has manual compass card and RMI has gyro-driven compass card. Right. The head drifted 5 degree left, so I'll correct 10 degree left to get that head back on 320. So let's fly 310 until the needle points 10 degree right.
This exercise was a review of everything we've covered so far.
We
Next
did
time
it.
we will explore IFR system failures, known as partial panel.
Ooh.
Very good work. You're progressing through the course well and are ready to keep going deeper into IFR.
Am I? Oh, success. I have a hard time finding comfortable position on the chair. I try to lean my head on the headrest, but that's not helping. Oh, must be nice to be a cat. They are so flexible. Keep scoring the 7,000s. Anyway, I don't mind. Oh, I'm exhausted. So 8 down, parachute panel 1. Ah, we're doing great. You're doing great. We've done 2 pages worth. I'll take a sip again. Ooh. This is no joke. And it's a little easier when I'm piloting command and I know what we're doing. When I don't know what's coming up, it's even more exhausting. And that's what flying with instructor feels like. Now our tutor is the torturer. So many lessons left. I hope you're liking this so far. I definitely like it. Definitely is worth going through the basics again. Well, we just got to do it. Let's do it. Time-wise, 1.5 hour only, and I'm so toast. Also, I spent like half an hour before stream fiddling with stuff, trying to get it ready again. So that was a little funny. All right, partial panel 1, let's go. Actually, so we did 1 page, 2nd page, 3rd page, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7.5. Ooh. Super Tom number 2. Welcome. We're learning. It's pretty exhausting. How you doing, Super Tom? How is Tomski? Siema, is that some new game though? What do you mean? Oh, it's game modes. No. It's I'll show you. So that's from the marketplace. It's called Interceptor by FS Academy. So that's what it is. I forgot to show their website, so I can do that for you. I'll just need to solve the captcha to prove I'm not a robot. Oh jeez. It's called in no misses things like that. Yeah, it is payware. It's not very expensive. I bought it so you don't see the price anymore. They had a similar lessons for 2020, but now they revamped it. I think it's pretty good, honestly. So it really teaches you the basics, and I think it teaches the important stuff. Like from the get-go, they were like attitude indicator, pitch and roll is your primary target. So I think that is the important stuff. So I really appreciate that they're doing this the right way. Better than career mode. I mean, it's different. The only problem I'm having right now is when I don't follow the instructions precisely, I will not trigger the next condition and get myself a little lost and have to restart the lesson. There you go. That's the website. I think it's pretty nice thingy. And they have some description here, a list of all the lessons. So I'll get you the link in the chat. I honestly think it's pretty good. It's not perfect, of course, but it's really good, and I think it's worth it. And it's still a challenge for me to fly. The cockpit is very bare bone in the 150, so yeah, there is that. Cool stuff, good stuff, super enjoying it. Oh, that is over. I was showing the website and I was saying they teach you the good stuff right from the get-go, so that is pretty nice. And they really emphasize focusing on your pitch and roll target first, keeping your scan correctly. And yeah, it's hand flying, so it is a little challenging. It is a little exhausting. Not here. No, enter the wrong thing. Right, we're doing partial panel 1 now. Let's roll. Pitot and static, vacuum, static, DC electric, suction gauge. So it's showing us how the instruments are connected and what they're using. So suction is driving the gyro here. These are using static pressure port. This is using pitot and static port, and this is driven by electric gyro, DC as indirect current. Alright, let's go. My back hurts.
So far, we've been operating a fully serviceable aeroplane. But a crucial skill to possess is the ability to remain in control in the event of an instrumentation failure. In terms of instrument flying, the scenarios most relevant to us are failures to the systems which supply our instruments. There are broadly three sources that drive our cockpit instruments: electrical, pressure, and vacuum. The electrical system drives many of our aircraft systems, such as the lights, radio, and flaps. The turn coordinator is supplied by the DC electrical system, as specified on the face of the dial. If electrical power were to be lost, the wings of the white aircraft symbol at the centre of the turn coordinator will return to wings level, and a red flag will be displayed. As we know our rate 1 bank angle, and use the attitude indicator to set it, a loss of the turn coordinator is only a minor failure. Of course, the liquid of our balance indicator is unaffected and remains operational. Some of our instruments are supplied with air pressure, provided from the outside via two intakes, the pitot tube and static port. The altimeter, VSI and airspeed indicator are supplied with static pressure, which is the outside air pressure. The ASI is unique in that it is also supplied by the pitot tube, which receives the pressure of the oncoming airflow for the ASI to display as our indicated airspeed. In the case of a pitot blockage, the ASI is starved of this oncoming airflow and will display a 0 indication. By maintaining our attitude targets and a suitable power setting, we can be confident that we are flying a safe airspeed. Use standard power and attitude settings as usual and make a left turn to heading 125 and see how our airspeed remains around our expected 90 knots.
Oh, I didn't notice the airspeed failed. Right, left 125. They started us as 2700, so I'll keep that. $10 to go. Nice.
Now let's unblock the pitot and reveal our airspeed. We have around 90 knots on our ASI, as we hoped. Now let's look at the static system. The static port supplies our instruments with the outside air pressure. This drives the altimeter, VSI, and also supplies the ASI to help correct for altitude. Should the static port become blocked, we would lose altitude information, which is critical to safe flight. Set full power and start a standard climb. See how our altimeter remains frozen at the value it had when the failure occurred, and the VSI shows 0. Our ASI also does not correct for altitude, so it becomes inaccurate. Most aircraft have a selectable alternative source for static air, but this Cessna 152 does not have that option. Instead, we can smash the glass of the VSI to allow cabin air into the static system via the VSI itself.
Whoa.
We see our altimeter comes back to life. We will no longer have a VSI, but this was a worthwhile sacrifice. When using the alternate static source, we do suffer some loss in accuracy, as the pressure is taken from a less ideal location on the aircraft, usually from somewhere within the cabin. With no VSI, we can no longer use our 10% of vertical speed anticipation method for levelling off at an altitude. Instead, we can revert to a more simplistic method of beginning our level off with 50 feet to go, which is what we would normally expect for this aircraft. Climb to 4,500 feet, starting to lower the nose to the horizon with 50 feet to go, as usual.
That was cool. So I'm not sure if you got that, but basically there is a tube from the static port, and that tube then splits and goes to the altimeter and the vertical speed indicator. So we assume that the pitot port is blocked, and now we smash the window here on the vertical speed indicator, which lets the cabin pressure enter and go through that tube to where it splits and go back to the altimeter. So basically the smashed glass in the vertical speed indicator is acting as static port, taking the pressure from the cabin, which will give slightly less accurate reading on the altimeter. But I never thought about it, that you can actually do that. Well, unless you have glass cockpit, then don't smash it. It will not help. 500 to go. Yeah, that's cool party trick if you're having a rough party like that. Imagine rental company reaction, we smashed your
Now
VS.
smoothly set
The
a
static
straight
block.
and level attitude.
I mean, as long as you brought the plane back and safe and sound, that's not a big sacrifice. It's still relatively cheap compared to the whole airframe. Obviously, you wouldn't need to do that if you were in VMC and you could get back safely without smashing it, but if you're in the soup, not having any altimeter, big no
See
bueno.
how your altitude has drifted? It's more difficult to maintain altitude without a VSI, but you can pay extra attention to your altimeter to compensate. Build the speed back up to 90 knots and then set cruise power.
Okay, boss. Whenever I do this view change, I'm having trouble to readjust. So they want 2300. Rolling. It's not. Oh, there we go. I think we need a little more.
Normally, we would aim for a 0 VS on the VSI, but as this instrument is not available, simply set the straight and level pitch attitude. We have so far seen the effects of a loss of our turn coordinator, ASI, altimeter, and VSI. The other source to our instrumentation on this type of light aircraft is the vacuum system. A vacuum pump provides suction, which powers the gyroscopes that drive the AI and the heading indicator. Should this suction become too low, the gyroscopes
It's going to be
would topple,
spicy.
and the AI and heading indicator would become unreliable, slowly drifting away from a correct indication. see the suction indication displayed on a small indicator located beside the AI. We will fail the vacuum pump now. Watch for a drop in suction. Note that the suction has now fallen. This means that the AI and the heading indicator gyroscopes will begin to slow. Of particular importance is to note how we do not lose AI indications immediately. There is a red failure flag on the AI, but this only appears once the gyro has begun to topple significantly. So the first clue of a suction loss may be only a slightly toppled AI, showing a pitch or bank change of just a few degrees, which could be difficult to detect right away. Trying to keep a failed AI appearing straight and level can easily cause a large and dangerous bank and pitch input. This would cause large and confusing direction and altitude changes, leaving you unsure which instruments to trust.
He is not wrong.
Remember these points and look to the suction indicator if doubt starts to arise. The heading indicator is also supplied by a suction-driven gyroscope. Rather than rotating to a misleading heading, it will simply stop responding and will remain frozen on its previous value. We replace our heading indicator with our magnetic compass, which we will look at
Here
in
on
the next
top.
lesson. Excellently flown. You are progressing really well.
But I really got like a whoopsie moment because I wanted to start following that. They actually made it easier because I could see the horizon. So there was one accident in Sweden years ago that got me really fascinated. They basically smacked the CRJ right into the mountain, like straight down. And what happened, they had three gyros, well, three attitude indicators on the PFD. They had three attitude indicators, the captain, first officer, and the backup one. And the captain side failed. And he was probably looking somewhere else. And then at some point, he looked at his attitude indicator. And now you need to know that CRJ is very prone to stall, and you might not be able to recover if you stall at altitude. So he saw it pitching up and in a roll, and he just tried to correct it. And before they even had a chance to talk, they smacked the ground, which is honestly not good, but it's just fascinating how it happened, and it could happen in seconds. So really, really scary. You look at this instrument and you're like, oh, yeah. And try to correct for the wrong instrument. Absolutely terrible. Now they had two more instruments which are showing the correct, so if they cross-reference that, they would have been fine. Or if they even talked about it. So of course, hard to blame anyone from sitting in my chair, and I can see how then the startle effect there is absolutely enormous. But as long as the plane is flying and nothing abrupt happened, there's a good chance it's still flying right. Still, I don't know, it's hard to tell how anyone would react seeing that, myself included. So I think it's important to try that. Now just seeing this gyro drift so slowly, you're like, ooh, it's so weird. Like you can't make sense of what's going on, which severely limits your capability to diagnose the problem. All right, let's do the next lesson. I'm still having trouble finding some comfortable position in here. Parachute panel 2, let's go. Oh. Unos and ants. Undershoot north, overshoot south. Accelerate north, decelerate south. So this is pretty cool. Magnetic compass, let's go. Next ad in 11 minutes. I moved the little cursor so I can actually see that. Do you learn none of this for PPL or it's purely IFR rating stuff? You do. I mean, at least some of it. In general. You learn just enough of that to be able to escape conditions you should not enter in the first place. So, if the cloud pops up in front of you all of a sudden, which sounds weird, but it's actually not that weird. For example, you can, how do I put it? You can think the cloud in front of you is higher than you think it is, or it can just start building. So what you need to do then is be able to do 180-degree turn to get out of it to the clearer you know you came from. So you do practice flying without looking outside. You don't really practice, I don't remember anymore, but I think you don't practice the partial panel, or maybe you do. I don't know. A missile hits your wingman and he starts smoking heavily. Yeah, you know the drill. Still, some of the clouds you see in front of you might be... It's possible to misjudge them, let's put it this way. So you need to be able to do 180 and get out of those conditions, so you do practice flying without looking outside.
We will now look at how we can continue to navigate after a failure of our heading indicator.
3000
Remember
east.
that your heading indicator is broken and should not be used for this lesson. We have an alternative means of determining our heading, and that is with the magnetic compass, found at the top of our windshield. The compass is subject to a range of indication errors, depending on factors such as speed changes and bank angle. So let's get to grips with the techniques we will need to make compass turns. Firstly, we will discuss UNOS, undershoot north, overshoot south. This simple acronym represents how we deal with compass turns to headings near north or south. During a turn either left or right towards north, as we pass an actual magnetic heading of north, the compass will underread by around 30 degrees. This means that to roll out on heading 360, we stop our turn when the compass indicates that we still have 30 degrees to go. For example, to turn right onto heading 360, we level our wings as the compass indicates 330. Turning left onto north, we roll out as we see 030 on the compass. We undershoot north. Let's try this. Use the compass to make a left turn now to heading 360. Level the wings once the compass indicates 030.
Also keep in mind that the numbers go the opposite way on the magnetic compass, which is super misleading. See how it's turning the opposite way?
Now roll wings level.
So it is showing 030, we roll out and we go.
We are rolled out on heading 360. The undershoot effects only occur during the turn, so now we are wings level, the compass reads our actual heading. When turning to a heading near north, we undershoot. To a heading near south, we overshoot. For east and west, the compass reads correctly and no adjustments are needed. Now make another left turn to west, heading 270.
Yes, the plane turns around the ball, but you're still used.
Simply roll out on west as you see your compass near 270.
You're still used to the normal numbers in gyro, so whenever you look there, it very often gets me. Also, it's super wobbly. It's like ball in oil that's very wobbly.
And back to wings level. See how on heading west, the compass requires no undershoot or overshoot. This is also true for heading east. However, when flying east or west, another acronym comes into play. Accelerate north, decelerate south, ANDS. This means that whilst on a heading of east or west, airspeed changes now cause the compass to misread. Maintain heading west and cut the power to slow us rapidly. Keep an eye on the compass. See how the compass indicates an error towards south. This is caused by our deceleration. Okay, now go to full throttle to accelerate. We now see the compass show an error to the north. Accelerate to 90 knots. And reset our cruise RPM. This should highlight the importance of stable flight when relying upon the compass, as speed changes can cause significant misreadings. When we accelerate, the compass moves north. When we decelerate, it moves south, ANDS. When turning south, we overshoot. This means we turn beyond compass south, again by about 30 degrees. This will be our next demonstration. Start a left turn. Now keep the turn going and monitor the compass. Overshoot south by 30 degrees, so roll to wings level as the compass indicates 150. The compass is showing south, but we're going to overshoot by 30 degrees. Keep turning. Now roll wings level.
Boom.
Here we are heading south. The 30-degree under or overshoot is a rough figure and is dependent on our latitude. The amount also depends on our target heading. The number of degrees to lead or lag our target reduces to 0 as we near east and west, as we saw earlier. For example, to turn to heading 045, we may only undershoot by 15 degrees, rolling wings level when we see 060 on the compass. The accelerate north, decelerate south has the same effect, where it is at its maximum on east and west, but reduces to 0 at the poles. But once again, these speed effects can be disregarded as long as we are keeping a steady speed. Let's try one more. Turn to the right this time to heading north. We will undershoot north, so roll out as the compass indicates 330. We will try to be very accurate with this turn.
I am so focused, but it works better when I'm focused. Also, it talks a lot, so it should not be disturbing. Undershoot north, 30 degree, 330.
We are now on heading north. Undershoot north, overshoot south applies to the northern hemisphere. In the south, these effects are the reverse. For example, if flying in New Zealand or Australia, we must overshoot north and undershoot south, onus. We will now move on and graduate to a more modern avionics suite known as glass cockpit. Excellent flying. You've flown very well in the Cessna 152.
222. 2 hours, let's go. All right. Enough of this torture. Now new torture. Oh look, I got the full marks. So let's roll the ad and then we'll be free for a moment. I'll take this time to take a sip. 100%. Yeah, for once. So it's pretty cool. I'm liking this. I think the previous edition for 2020, I think it was more condensed. Or maybe I'm imagining it. So that's pretty much where I got to. And the reason it's doing that is because the magnetic field is a little vertical. So when you bank, this vertical component starts messing with your horizontal component. You've shown this software before, very cool. Yeah. All right, let's roll this out. I'll see you in a moment. Take a short break. Let's go. Pew, let's take a sip. I need to get my back flexed. It hurts. It hurts. It's a little awkward position. I think maybe removing the armrest wasn't the best idea. So I removed the armrest because I wanted to play a VR game and the armrests were blocking me. But I'll do this another time. For now, we are doing this and this is fun. I'm quite liking it. Also, it's so peaceful with this new setup. I am so happy. Really so happy. Oh, what's the time? It's 10:30. So it's not terrible. Not terrible. It's over. Let's go. So we did partial panel 2. This is something that would require a little more practice. Now the thing is, I feel like I want to take notes, but on the other hand, I should just remember this stuff. Like this is the basics. So it would be good to have notes just to, and we're back. Yes, we are. It would be good to have notes just to go over them quickly. Isha Funny, welcome. Do you have people already? Yeah. I did it in 2008, I think. So it's been a while. I also did my CPL. I finished in late 2018. So it's been a while. Then I wanted to apply to the airlines, but 2019 I felt a little exhausted after all this learning and wanted also to revise my theory knowledge. And then 2020 came and the rest is history. Nice. I remember the early rate is when I did the training for PPL. I live in Poland, so I have Poland rate. I paid for 450 zloty per hour. So that's like that's like $110. But now it's a little more expensive. So the school where I'm now, I think the hour of plane with instructor costs 650. Divide that by 4 and you get the number in dollars. That's 150 plus like 160, $170 per hour. The other thing is that when we are doing the training here towards commercial ratings, we do not pay VAT tax. But other than that, I also pay 23% extra on the VAT. And that was for the single engine plane. The twin that I use for my IFR training and some of the CPL training, it is more expensive. So that's it. That's so nice. We're paying $260 an hour. But what plane were you flying? And dollars. I meant US dollars. I'm not sure where it's from. Oh, 172 is a bigger plane. I was flying 150 in my PPL, and the rest of the training I was flying Tecnam 2002, and now they have Tecnam 2008 USD. Okay. So yeah, flying 150 instead of 172 definitely cuts the cost, and flying the Tecnam 2002 or 2008 also cuts the cost because it's just much smaller. But honestly, flying 172, I think it's not bad either, because you get the experience of a bigger and heavier plane that is slightly more complex. So to be honest, now I would feel pretty confident flying this 172, but after my PPL, I wouldn't feel very confident flying the 172. So I stopped flying because I got so sick after every flight. Oh, I see. That happens. Not gonna lie, I do get that every now and then, and it just gets better the more you are exposed to the moving things. But I know some people just can't go over it. So it is what it is. But I think it's still worth to try and get at least some of that experience. I think it's really cool. And going through the theory, it's also fun. So I would still recommend doing the training, even if you think you're gonna stop it at some point. The experience is yours, and it stays with you. So it's kind of sad, but now my money goes into buying flight gear. Yay! That's also cool. And you get at least some experience. You went through the theory course. I think it's worth it. Whatever happens, you've done it. So that's nice. Jeez, these ads are relentless. Let's get the glass cockpit now. 172. So I've never flew 172 as a pilot in command. I was only a passenger a few times. It is a big plane. Right, we've got the nav radius here. Side slip indicator over here. Nav radio heading back, alt back. Course knob, ADF ident, enter, FMS knob, soft keys. The thing I like doing, so with that in front of you, to operate those, well, usually you're flying with your left hand. It was cool just to be able to be up there in control. Yeah. So, I mean, even if you can't continue it, I think it was good just trying and doing whatever you could, getting at least some of that experience. I think it's really cool. So, you're flying with the left hand on the yoke, and you would need to reach your right hand, like cross in front of your face, to reach those knobs on the left hand side. And what I like doing is, instead of using those knobs on the left hand side here, there are the same knobs on the second panel here on the right. So I like to reach my hand to this set of the knobs here. So the same knobs that are here, they're also over here. And it's just much easier because you can operate everything with your right hand everything in the pretty much the same spot. I hope they will have the synthetic vision disabled. If it's not, I'll disable it. Also, I think it's really cool to be proficient in both Steam Cockpit and Glass Cockpit, and they're very different. Like, they're challenging in different ways. Glass Cockpit is much easier to comprehend and has much more information, but can be a little more difficult to operate, and there's all those menus you need to be familiar. Can drive to the campus. Guess we'll be a semi-lurk. Alright, cheers. Have a good drive. And then the Steam Cockpit is much easier to operate, but gives you way less information, and you have to look around more just to get the same information. So I honestly think both of them are challenging in a different ways. And at this time and age, it's just good to be proficient with the both kinds. At least that's what I like to do. Alright, let's see how this is gonna go.
Technology in avionics moves slowly but relentlessly. One of the most impactful changes to be seen in the world of light aircraft is the integration of the familiar six-pack of instruments into a single electronic display. Forged on the flight decks of jetliners, the glass cockpit provides the IFR pilot with a new, clearer presentation of all the critical flight path information. The example we see here is the Garmin G1000, now commonplace in any modern training aeroplane. All of the main flying instruments remain in view, with the attitude at centre stage, making up the entire background to the primary flight display, or PFD. Again, we have the familiar blue sky and brown ground, but notice how the horizon stretches the full width of the screen. The larger, clearer display of attitude reinforces its importance in our scan, plus making attitude changes easier to distinguish, given their amplified size. Along the top is the bank scale, showing the familiar 10, 20, 30, 45 and 60 degree bank marks. At the base of the bank index pointer, we have a side slip indicator. If the indicator moves to the right of centre, add some extra right rudder pressure, and vice versa for left rudder. The heading indicator has also received a significant update. Still in its conventional home below the attitude, this new digital display shows exact heading degrees, instantly improving your precision. Add to this the new solid-state magnetometer, which detects our magnetic heading, and we do away with the limitations of a gyroscope-based heading indication. Significant further enhancements are also to be found, such as the embedded bearing needles. These can be set to show VOR and NDB needles directly on the heading indicator, so no longer must we mentally superimpose a needle. With new capabilities comes a new name, the Horizontal Situation Indicator, HSI. To the left of centre, we see our airspeed indication, now presented as a speed tape. To the right of our attitude, we see the altimeter right where we expect it, but now coupled with the VSI further to the right. So we have seen the new face of 5 out of our 6 main instruments. What about the turn coordinator? Look to the top of the HSI. Either side of the heading window, where we see our heading, there is a small scale to the left and right. During a turn, a magenta indicator will appear in the direction of turn. Once a rate 1 turn rate is achieved, we will reach the full scale position. By now you will see that all of the familiar indications remain, but with a clearer, more precise presentation. To ease the task of maintaining heading at altitude, we can now utilise the concept of bugs. A bug is a marker that we place on a digital instrument, such as a heading or altitude target. Having a target bugged makes it more immediately identifiable. Bugs are set with physical controls, providing easy access in the busy cockpit environment. Use the heading knob to set a heading bug at 083 degrees.
So that's what I mentioned. I like to use the ones here as long as this unit didn't fail. If it failed, then I need to just go over here, but it's just much easier to use my right hand for all the knobs. We'll go to the settings. There's one thing I need to change. Forgot I was messing with this. So let's use TAA. Let's just double check our texture. We'll get this to ultra. It should make the displays clearer. And we also have the instruments. What was the name? Black cockpit refresh rate. Alright, I want it on high. There we go. Oh, I can also click this and drag.
See how a blue bug now sits atop our target on the HSI. We are less likely to miss this during a complex manoeuvre, improving accuracy further. We can see our selected heading to the top left of the HSI, displayed in blue. The altitude knob has two controls, the large outer knob for thousands of feet and small inner knob for hundreds. Use the knobs to set an altitude bug of 5,000 feet. The PFD contains more than just our conventional six-pack. Look to the top left of the PFD and see our nav radios displayed. Here we can tune our nav1 and nav2 radios to a desired nav aid. The conventional standby and active concept remains, switched with the swap button. An inner and outer knob is also present. The outer large knob sets the large numbers of our frequency, the megahertz, whilst the small knob sets the smaller digits, the kilohertz. Tune Jersey VOR into the nav1 standby window, frequency 112.2.
So here's the catch. You can still use those, and you can even look here, and you press that to switch between which one you're selecting, nav1 or nav2. Now to switch, I have my right mouse button, and in case you don't have that, I can show you where it is. So that goes under mouse. Actually, we can just see all that are bound assigned. Oh, okay, maybe that's a little too much. Uh-oh. It's here, secondary action. So if we search interaction, there we go. So increase, decrease on the mouse wheel, primary action on the left mouse button, secondary action on the right mouse button, and there is also tertiary action. And I sometimes needed it, I just forgot for what. So I'm surprised it's not set. here. I don't remember, maybe I wasn't using it at all. But it's there. It's good to know. Why is there traffic? Hang on, I think I have this FS traffic. I don't wanna. Alright, it is gone. Need to find a way to disable it permanently. 11220. 11220.
And press the swap key to make it active. Now that we have tuned, our next step is to identify, as always. Rather than listening for the Morse code identifier, the G1000 is already doing this for us automatically. Notice the Juliet Sierra Yankee identifier displayed beside the active NAV1 frequency. The Jersey VOR is now tuned and identified, ready to be displayed on our HSI. At the base of the PFD, see the CDI button. This allows us to toggle between the various display modes available for our CDI, which is now built into our HSI. By pressing this, we now have our CDI set to display NAV1. To select a course to fly, we use the course knob, located to the right of the PFD. Set a course of 004.
So
See
the
how our
course.
CDI operates in the usual way, displaying our deviation from the selected course, but now with a green bar. It currently shows a fly right indication. Deviation dots on the CDI show up to 10 degrees of deviation to either side of the centre. One dot represents 5 degrees. The to from indicator is shown as a green arrow at the end of the CDI bar. It currently shows 2. Our HSI is much more intuitive than the OBS and heading indicator, as we can display what we need right there on the dial. Now look again to the bottom of the PFD and see the PFD options button to the bottom left. Pressing this opens a menu for changing the displays on our PFD, including the HSI. Open the PFD options menu and see the options for bearing needles. Click on bearing 1 until it displays NAV1. We now have a blue bearing needle that points directly to the VOR set in our NAV1 radio. We can use this bearing needle in many ways to make IFR navigation more simple. This includes the option to set our CDI to a desired course, but still keep the ability to navigate to the VOR using the bearing needle. For example, if we were to intercept the radial 004 from the VOR, we could fly towards the beacon with the bearing needle, with our outbound course 004 already set on the CDI, ready for interception.
That's clever.
But how do we know our distance from the station? We have another new benefit, the DME. Distance Measuring Equipment, DME, transmits a signal that is interpreted by our avionics as a distance. When we selected bearing 1 to NAV1, a small window appeared to the left of the HSI. Within this window we see our DME. We are currently 6.3 miles from the DME station, which is located at the Jersey VOR. One thing to be mindful of, however, our DME displays our distance from the beacon via line of sight. This means that once directly overhead the beacon, we would not get a 0 miles indication, but it would display our height above it in nautical miles. This is known as slant range. For example, 1 nautical mile is approximately 6,000 feet. If we flew overhead the DME at 3,000 feet, we can expect a 0.5 nautical mile indication. Instrument procedures are built to take this factor into account. It also becomes less and less relevant with lower altitudes and greater distances, but is something that you should be aware of when passing overhead a DME station. Let's now turn our attention to handling NDBs on this equipment. Along the bottom of the PFD, press back to leave the PFD options page. then press the ADF DME button. This opens up the ADF tuning window. Unlike our old ADF radio, we can now have an active and standby frequency set, like our nav radios. Use the FMS knob at the bottom right of the PFD to tune the standby ADF to Jersey NDB, frequency 329. The large knob moves the cursor and the small knob changes the digits. There is space for 5 digits with the decimal, so set 0329.0, pressing enter to set.
That's one of those things that I mentioned. If you're it's just a little more difficult to operate all those menus and things. And if you didn't learn how to operate, just imagine being in the clouds and you don't know how to put that frequency. And I know how to do that, but for someone new to Garmin avionics, this doesn't feel very intuitive at first. Also, one thing I think I disagree is that this shows magenta here. This is not DME. This is DME. So I had another menu to open up the DME, and this is the actual DME reading. The magenta one should be the GPS distance. So this is not the slant range or line of sight distance. So it should, in theory, disregard the altitude. That is correct. Yeah, I wonder how they missed that. And it's the little detail that can drive you into the mountain one day. Again, in most cases, that doesn't show much difference, but legally, you have to use this one. Using the magenta one is not legal. Right, let's get this 3 to 9 and press enter.
Now press the enter key to make 329 the active ADF frequency. The ADF is now tuned, but must be identified. To the right of our PFD, we have our audio panel. Within the white box in the centre of this panel, we have our ident audio controls. Turn on the ADF ident. A light appears above the ADF button when the ident is enabled. You can turn off the ADF ident now if you wish. Go back to the PFD options menu and set the bearing to needle to display ADF. We now have a bearing needle pointing to the NDB. Notice how the bearing 1 needle is thin and the bearing 2 needle is thick to differentiate them. Now look across to the right side of the cockpit to our other main display, the MFD. The multifunction display, MFD, displays our engine parameters down the left-hand side. We are mostly interested in the RPM indication at the top left of the MFD. The moving map display on the MFD can be useful for orientation and for displaying airspace, airports, and other navigational features. But we will not be utilising most of these features as part of this course, as we want to instill the fundamental skills of IFR flight, so we will make only minimal use of the MFD. We have covered a lot in this introduction to the G1000. Once we get airborne, it will start to feel more intuitive, and I expect it won't take long to appreciate how these more advanced avionics help you to fly IFR. We will now move on and perform an instrument departure.
Easy lesson. Zero flying. So I'm not sure about that DME thing. We'll see in flight. I'll have to open and we'll see. Because I noticed on the NDB it wasn't showing the distance. But still I have a feeling, simply because it was magenta, that strongly suggests this is the GPS distance. I was trying to find a page there on the MFD that doesn't show the map to get us more lost. That's what the instructors do all the time. You only get the map in the very late stage of the training. First learn it the hard way, then go the easier way. Right, let's do the instrument departure. 2.5 hours. Not bad. I'll take a sieve again. I dropped 6 frames the whole stream due to rendering lag and 0 due to encoding lag. So, not sure when that happens, but I don't think 6 frames are that important. 6 frames out of 548,000 frames. That's sacrifice I'm willing to take. Right. Climb altitude 7.5, powerful. Cruise pitch 1. Oh, that's different. Pitch 1, not 2.5. So that's give or take. Oh wait, we have those marks now. So this is 10 degree, this is 5 degree. 7.5, that's the short one. That's 2.5. So a third. Third? No, it should be 2/5. 2/5 is what? Nah, give or take a third. Third from the bottom. A little over a third. That's 40%. I think I'll keep this view for most of the
weather
flight.
would scupper our plans from the outset if we were flying visually under VFR. Our IFR flight plan, however, permits us the freedom to operate even in the face of inclement conditions, so that is what we'll do. But how do we depart an airport and join the aerial pathways above us? We fly a standard instrument departure, SID. Think of a SID as the on-ramp to the IFR highway. It gets us climbing safely away from the runway and into the gloomy skies above
We can pause it.
us.
We can pause it. So let's wait till that is over. I had so many 70 emotes, 70V emotes. They are so cool. Alright, I think this will be the last lesson for today. Let's quit while I'm ahead. So I'm confident I can make this one, but then we'll just call it a day. Still, I'm having fun. Getting a little exhausted here, especially with all the lights in my head. I don't know. I'm so bothered with the eyes shining straight into my eyes all the time, but people are not. That is over. Alright, we can continue. Let's roll. So he just said that SID is high in the sky to get us out.
After filing an IFR flight plan, air traffic control is fully aware of our intentions. The flight plan includes our aircraft type, registration, destination, and intended route. We have selected the ORTAC departure, which is named by the waypoint ORTAC, where the SID ends and the airways begin. The procedure takes us from runway 08 to the Jersey VOR, Juliet Sierra Yankee. We leave Jersey on the radial 004, climbing initially to 5,000 feet, as we set up in the previous lesson. Use the altitude knob to set the altitude bug to 5,000 feet.
Done.
We have tuned, identified and displayed the VOR, set 5,000 feet as an altitude bug, course 004 on the CDI and an initial heading of 083. We will depart runway 08, fly to the VOR using the bearing 1 needle, then leave Jersey on the radial 004. This sets us up for the SID and we are ready to go. Set flaps 10 and we'll advise ATC that we are ready for departure.
Right, I'll try to get something here. Let's keep this. I can just leave it on that one. Chart options. Where's the night mode? Chart mode off? No. Maybe in chart setup. Color scheme. Night. Perfect. Flaps 10. Alright, I'll try to use my peripherals for that.
Golf Alpha Charlie ready for departure.
Golf Alpha Charlie, line up and wait, runway 08.
Line up and wait runway 08, Golf Alpha Charlie. Enter runway 08, line up on the centre line and come to a stop. Turn on the landing light and the strobes.
Let's see how the engine sounds as we take off. It is pretty quiet now, but I can live without the engine soon. At least today.
Come to a stop on the centre line. For climb, we'll use the same pitch and power targets as before, 7.5 degrees of pitch and full power. We will retract the flaps once above 300 feet above airfield level. That'll be about 600 feet on the altimeter.
Golf Alpha Charlie, cleared for takeoff, runway 08, wind calm.
Cleared for takeoff 08, Golf Alpha Charlie. We're cleared for takeoff. Rotate to the climb attitude of 7.5 degrees and fly runway heading 083.
Airspeed alive. Rotation.
Now maintain this pitch target and keep us on heading 083. This is a climbing scan pattern, prioritising the HSI. As we pass 600 feet, retract the flaps. Use the bearing needle on the HSI to fly us directly towards the VOR. Use the DME indication at the bottom left of the HSI to count down our distance to the beacon.
So I'm curious about that. We'll see if there's any discrepancy. Maybe Maybe that is showing the DME indeed. Oh, I feel like I want to grab a manual 95000. Using the box is pretty nice because, well, you don't have to remember the values and it's easier to spot once you're getting close to those values. Oh, so I'm not sure if there was a discrepancy. 5. Also, the old G1000 I was flying in real life was pretty laggy. This feels way more responsive than the actual than how I remember the actual unit. It was pretty laggy, but it's quite old technology at this point.
Miles DME distance from the VOR. We're going to leave the VOR on radial 004, which is set as our course. To anticipate the turn to our outbound radial and to roughly account for our slant range, we will turn when we get within 1 DME. I'll help you by setting the heading bug. I'll do this for you in most lessons.
Nice. Right, so it does appear to be DME the magenta, but I'm super confused. If I don't forget, I'll try to have a look. Did he say to turn now?
Now start a left turn to heading 004.
So there is the right one indicator. It needs to touch this line here.
We are now on heading 004, flying from Jersey VOR. We're looking to fly the radial 004. We have some deviation of the CDI. Make a small heading correction towards the CDI bar to centre it. We are positioned on the radial 004 from the VOR as intended. Fly heading 004 to maintain this course. Level off at 5,000 feet. Using 10% VS as usual. The cruise pitch and power settings for Cessna 172 are slightly different. Use 1 degree of pitch up and 2,400 RPM, giving 100 knots.
What they didn't mention is there is this magenta diamond which shows our track. So flying G1000 is fairly easy. You just put the diamond in the back and plane goes where you want it to. No need to guesstimate your wind correction. Also, the interesting thing is that each dot is 5 degrees. So this is 5 degree, 10 degree, but the full scale is 12 degree. So the full scale is not 10 degree as you would imagine. Full scale is 12 degree, but the second dot is 10 degree. Right, let's recenter this CDI. 200 to go.
Set the pitch at just 1 degree nose up. This is our new straight and level attitude. Accelerate to 100 knots, remembering to trim as needed. And set 2400 RPM.
Right, that's good enough.
You can already see some of the advantages of our electronic displays. We can set a course, but still continue towards our beacon with the bearing needles. Our DME indication shows us our mileage from the VOR. We will now leave the radial, again using 17 degrees of bank, turn left heading 300. See how the magenta turn rate indication along the top of the HSI shows a rate 1 turn.
Oops.
Now see how both our CDI bar and bearing needles indicate to us that we are diverging from our intended course. We are flying from the VOR, so we are pulling the tail of the bearing needle. The CDI bar represents our selected radial, showing us where we want to be. As we are diverging to the left, the CDI is moving off to the right. Continue on this heading to gain some distance from the VOR. We will now shift our directional reference from headings to tracks. Our heading is the direction our nose is pointing, whereas our track is our path over the ground. Track is the more correct reference for IFR flying, so we'll now begin to use tracks. Rather than the heading indication at the top of our HSI, our track is represented by a magenta diamond. In nil wind conditions such as today, heading and track will be equivalent. Turn right onto a track 049.
Okay. Just a touch more power. I find this like more 2-degree pitch is what I need for straight and level. So now I want to park the magenta diamond in the heading back.
This sets us up for a standard 45-degree intercept to re-establish on the radial 004. See how the tail of the bearing needle is being pulled back towards our set course. The needle shows us how many degrees off course we currently are, giving a useful countdown to interception. Continue on track 049 until the CDI bar reaches just half a dot of deflection, representing 2.5 degrees.
That's pretty nice using the bearing that gives you extra information. So the full deflection is 12 degree, but you can get a better reading at the tail of the bearing needle, how far it's off, so you can
The CDI
anticipate.
is starting to move in. When the CDI reaches between the centre and the first dot, we are at 2.5 degrees of deviation. Turn to track 004 once this happens.
Half dot. So quarter scale. Well, give or take.
The CDI
That's
is
about
at
now.
around 2.5 degrees. Now make a left turn to track 004.
It's always difficult to guess when to do that.
004. We have departed Jersey, flown the first part of a SID, left our radial, and then re-intercepted. Things are starting to fall into place. The electronic displays in front of us open up new possibilities and have immediately improved our accuracy and situational awareness. We can now take advantage of a new method of navigation, using the Global Positioning System, GPS, which will be the subject of the next lesson. Well flown.
Let's go. We passed. Again, so many lessons left. Well, not full score. So, I think the lessons are pretty cool. They give you the basics, just go over that, not too much practice. But I think it's really nicely organized. So we finished glass cockpit, and now we finished standard instrument departure number 12. So we have GNSS en route next. But that's going to be another day. It's 15 past 11 p.m. here, so it's about time I start getting ready to sleep. Oh, I need to get early tomorrow. Yikes. That was super cool. Thanks for stepping by. I have enjoyed that. Let's see who's there that we can ride. So there's not too many of us left. So I'm not sure if Twitch will let us to the right. We'll see. Cool stuff. I'll see you next time. For the next lessons, let me see who's up, who we can raid. Conti is up, and Jamsky is up, and Tutan Murphy is up. What do we do? Oh, it was so loud you. I think you heard this on the microphone from my headset. It was that loud when I opened Twitch. Let's go to Jamsky. Man, the myth, the legend, the tracker. The track is tracker. So, let me set the rate. I'll see you there. It's been a pretty nice day. We need to do it more often. I just need to pace my days a little more better. Make sure from the get-go for the morning I'm aiming to stream in the evening, and we're gonna be good. Alright, the raid is up. I'll see you there. Here's the rate message you can use. Ask as many questions as you want. It's not the real track. It's a fake track. And yeah, it's pretty cool. Alright, I'll see you there. Thank you for stopping by. Bye. Hang on. I'll hide the camera. I'll get my goodbye text. There we go. Now we're ready. Alright, let's go there. Thank you for stopping by. Bye.